Velassi, and you lucky bastards are listening to Wouldn't You Know It.
This mysterious character, Rick Velassi, is pretty accurate with what's going on in our current situation today. Now, if you ever really pay attention to the things he says, they're eerily similar to today's events. Just listen to this.
And if you're listening, that means you really are a lucky bastard. You apparently won the genetic lottery and can't catch the green poison like 95% of the rest of humanity. Oh no, you had it good. You got to sit around eating bonbons, watching people you loved wither and die and get wrapped in hefty bags and dumped in a mass grave with no funeral or gravestone or nothing.
Emerged of a mass grave in New York as the death toll continues to rise. Almost 800 more people have died in New York State alone. Officials say burials are being increased at the site on Hart Island off the Bronx. It has long been used for people with no next of kin or families who cannot afford a funeral. New York State alone now has more coronavirus cases than any single country in the world. Here's our North America editor, John Sopel.
It is somehow unimaginable, unbelievable, that in the most famous city of the richest country in the world, they're digging mass graves for those who can't afford a funeral and for those who died of coronavirus with no next of kin. This is Hart Island, just off the Bronx in New York City. Nearly 8,000 people have died in this state alone, and they're struggling to deal with all the burial.
The green poison. Where'd it come from? Some yuppie scum millennial helicopter mom refusing to give her kids a goddamn measles shot? I wish. I hate those morons. But this ain't measles. And that ain't the way the world works. And it ain't Ebola or Marburg. It didn't evolve in bat shit some monkey ate before some idiot ate the monkey.
Well, scientists are hunting for the origins of this novel coronavirus as it continues to spread around the world. And even though little is known about this virus so far, experts suspect that bats could be the likely hosts.
Wild animals, including skinned birds, snakes, and raccoon dogs, sparking concern that the virus might have been transmitted from animals to humans.
Was caused by animal virus, and then the animal actually carried this virus and spread to human.
No. I tell you where it came from. It came from a lab.
Yet some scientists think the virus behind COVID-19 might have come from a lab, even though the prevailing view is it occurred naturally.
This is some designer shit, people. Somebody cooked this up on purpose.
A former spy chief says the lab idea shouldn't be dismissed as conspiracy.
It's an engineered escapee from the Wuhan Institute. I'm not saying anything other than the fact that, that it was the result of an accident.
And maybe it got out by accident, or maybe they let it out on purpose. But either way, if you don't think the federal government is involved in some fucked up way or other, then A, you don't have my sources.
Sources from your former place of work say that this idea that the virus was manufactured in a lab is just
staggered. They clearly haven't read the science, and they haven't attempted to understand it, because the onus is now on the leadership of China to explain why the theory and the hypothesis that it could be engineered is wrong.
Because God knows there ain't no advantage for people who love power in a situation like this, right? Nah. Never happen. Wake up, New York.
First off, let's start off with, who is Tom Clancy? Tom Clancy is an author who is known for his books. He ultimately became a franchise for video games and movies. He was interviewed September 11, 2001 on CNN because of his book Dead of Honor. In the book, there are similar events that played out in real life. Although, quote-unquote, these events are completely coincidental, he did cite he had discussions with military experts on the lack of planning on how to handle hijacked planes. To sum it all down, after his death in 2013, Massive created a game called The Division, which was released in 2016. Rick Velassi is a fictional character in the game The Division and is a host on a pirate radio news station. He frequently speaks on current events within the game. Well, conspiratedly, these current events somehow accurately speak on current events that are happening in real life 4 years later. Unfortunately, Mr. Clancy passed away, which means he's not the one behind this conspiracy. Well then, who is? There is a writer by the name of Richard Dansky. He was hired to take over Mr. Clancy's work. If you know a thing or two about in-game characters, you know that writers create dialogue for in-game characters to make it more lifelike and for the player to immerse oneself into the game. Unsuccessfully, I've tried to contact Mr. Dansky via Facebook, but he has yet to respond. I wanted to interview him for this video to see how he and his team of writers managed to accurately predict a pandemic, create a character who speaks about events that happened 4 years later, and a game that depicts flu shots, masks, and countless events that happen in real life. So, to all who are watching, stay tuned for the next video I will release.